Welcome back to Good Life Western Sports, sponsored by L&H Manufacturing. I'm Bobbi and LeAnn. O'Neill, Nebraska resident Terry Tomjack is sharing to the Holt County community stories, photos, and memories of his family's percheron, Lubber, that just so happens to be the world's largest horse. Lubber was the second of 3 offspring from the percheron Bronco Cross mare that was owned by LeAnn Meller and a Belgium sire cross stallion owned by George Meller of Redbird, Nebraska. Foaled sometime around the year of 1920, Lubber was an ordinary-sized colt. Much to the Mellers' surprise, however, the colt didn't stop growing, standing just over 21 hands high and weighing somewhere around 3,100 pounds. Lubber was so tall that the ladder was needed to mount him, and his back was so broad that astride rider's legs stuck straight out of each side. Despite the colt's large size, Lubber was a gentle horse that the Meller children loved dearly. Terry Tomjack of O'Neill, Nebraska remembers his mother, Bernice, reminiscing on how she could walk under Lubber's barrel.
Yeah, that's a picture of my grandfather with the horse. Now, my grandfather was not a very big guy, as you'll notice, but that horse was just huge. And I had heard my mother tell me she was a little girl, and when she's 4 or 5, she could walk underneath this horse, walk back and forth under his barrel right through here. The collar I have here wasn't big enough for him, so there is a bigger one, and it's owned by my cousin over in Shenandoah, Iowa. And then, of course, his bridle that went with him right there. And that was his collar. And when they went in to get this collar made, the guy in the leather shop, and I do remember this day, and they called him Ticky Clark. And he told my grandpa, if you can find a horse that'll fit that collar, I'll make it for nothing. So guess what? Ticky had to make the collar for nothing.
Interestingly enough, Lubber got his name because he was always in the way while the Mellers were doing chores. Because Lubber continued to grow, no tack would fit him, and therefore the Mellers decided to sell Lubber. Later, A&E Ponto and Doc O.O. Person saw a picture of the 6'4" and nearly 3,000-pound horse and decided to make the purchase. Both men made their way to the Spencer Bank in Boyd County to close the deal. Terry Tomjack states that Ponton and Doc's plan was to quietly sneak Lubber back to the Wisner for the 4th of July celebration and to surprise everyone.
My grandfather took him back to Wisner, and they hid him and showed him at the celebration in Wisner. And that was the first time he was out in the public. And at first, they couldn't get anybody to come into the tent. It was like 50 cents. My mom was standing there with the company. They finally talked one old guy to come in, and when he came out of there, he was just flabbergasted. He was telling everybody, you've never seen anything like this. So then people started to come in. One of the things they had that they kept was a medal called I've Seen Lubber. And you could buy this little medal for 5 cents. If you went to the deal, you could buy a medal. But well, later that year, they got contacted by Ringling Brothers Circus, wanted to buy him for $10,000. Well, my grandpa wouldn't sell him, of course. And he was contacted by another outfit called the Dotson Amusement Company. And they loaded him up, and they were taking him around to all these different cities, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Des Moines, and they were on their way to Chicago to show him off. Well, over in Iowa, he got poisoned. Some person in the next act who was not very happy about the attention he was drawing somehow got close to him and gave him a shot of something, and it was poison, and it killed him. My grandfather had a German Shepherd dog called Pal who was guarding this horse. Well, what happened was somebody got close to this dog and was able to get close enough to the horse, because you couldn't get close to that horse. That dog was a German Shepherd. She would take you. And they said after the horse died, this dog wouldn't let anybody go near it. They had to put it down. And of course, my grandfather, he had the horse insured for $10,000, and somehow the policy had lapsed about 2 months before this happened, so they never got a thing for the horse.
At 21 hands high and 3,100 pounds, Lubber was a beautiful horse, and his Percheron and Belgium bloodline shone through. Although Lubber is gone, his stories, pictures, and articles keep his memory alive. Because Lubber was born in Holt County, Terry Tomjack has plans of keeping Lubber's memory in the county by donating his items that his grandfather passed down to him to the Holt County Museum in O'Neill, Nebraska later this year. Find out where Good Life Western Sports will be next week when we come back.